stopping us. Fly without boarding pass. Couldn't catch me, I be moving fast. Call me a shooting star. Let 'em know who you are. Flying up in a bar. Wish on a star. Time to show 'em who's in charge. Call me a shooting star. Didn't even get to cross.
Hello, BTC Universe. This is BTC Uncut. It's your boy, DJ Barbecue, powered by KBAC.Rocks. KBAC Radio, what rock radio should be. Also sponsored by Midwest All Pro Wrestling. Now, we have a special guest today. His name is Terry Mackey. He also has a very dark connection. You could say he's kind of a knight in shining armor. Terry, thank you for coming on the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you. Well, as the viewers can see, and the listeners can't, but the viewers of the YouTube show will actually see after I introduced you, there's a certain distinct dark knight in shining armor thing about you. Why don't you explain to the viewers and listeners who don't know?
Well, I am the dark ties, dark to the Dark Knight. I am Batman himself. Batman.
Very cool. Very cool. So where did you get this idea of doing Batman? And then tell the viewers and listeners the reason for that. And it's very interesting on why you do it.
I came up with the Batman idea a little over. Most people probably don't know, or most people who do know follow us here. Is I'm retired military, and throughout my time in the active duty military, serving this great country, I got to do a lot of cool things. And one of those cool things was we got to visit children in hospitals. We got to partake in a couple deals with Make-A-Wish Foundation, bringing kids out to the bases to let them see what we do on a day-to-day basis, being a Marine for a day, being an Army soldier for a day, and got to crawl around the cool tanks and different up-armored, Humvees and things like that. And so as my time was dwindling down in the military and getting ready to retire, I wanted to continue on and do that. And so it's like, how do you do that? What can I do? Nobody wants to just see Terry Mackey because nobody knows who Terry Mackey is. I'm not a John Cena. I'm not a, a celebrity athlete or anything like that, a Michael Jordan, a Kobe Bryant, anything like that. So my persona was my love for superheroes, and my favorite superhero was Batman, the Dark Knight himself. And so I was like, why not build a Batman character and go inside the hospitals and make some smiles and make some kids' days, and that's what we've been doing for the last 3 years now.
Right. I want to congratulate you on your hard work. It doesn't go unnoticed. First thing I should actually say is thank you for your service. My great uncle was in the military, in the Marines. And if I don't say that, he probably will shoot a lightning bolt at me right now in studio, because, we were told that, as young kids, we need to, say that and respect. So you also have another distinct thing that this show's premise is all about. Tell us, when did you start watching professional wrestling, and what gave you that niche, that actual liking to professional wrestling?
Well, I've been watching professional wrestling as far as I can remember back. Back in the good days of Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior and Randy Macho Man Savage and, all these larger-than-life characters. And so I just hooked as a kid the first time I saw it. Back growing up, back in our old school days when you only had 3 channels out on the farm. And so I started watching AWA wrestling late at nighttime. I have to stay up and watch things like Hee Haw and all that stuff. And after Hee Haw would come on, you'd have Vern Gagne and Great Gagne and all these other, credible athletes, the Crusher and Mad Dog Vachon and, with the Claw, Nick Bockwinkel and all that stuff. And me into it. And then I discovered, WWF. Now, of course, is WWE. And I was hooked ever since. I loved the lights, the showmanship, the craft, watching these incredible matches, the crowd. And I've been a fan since as long that I can remember.
Awesome. What is some of the wrestlers you could say your top 5 of your favorite all time back in that day when you first started?
My ultimate favorite wrestler is the Ultimate Warrior himself. Rest in peace. And I never got the chance to meet him, but I was a big Warrior fan. I was a big Bret the Hitman Hart fan. Shawn Michaels. Obviously Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage. It's just amazing characters, and that's kind of what I like. The Hart Foundation, the Rockers,
Right.
things like that. So yeah, classic old school wrestling.
Awesome. Do you watch any of the wrestling that is today?
Yeah, we watch WWE, Raw and SmackDown. We always attend the shows when they come here, kind of like we talked about a little bit. And try to partake in the MAP Pro Wrestling here with
Right.
Eugene and Nick and Stephanie and their amazing brand and their wrestlers here. I've gotten the chance to do some cool things with them. So yeah, I'm looking forward to AEW coming on TV, coming online. They're doing great and amazing things that are really going to hope that they really put pro wrestling back on the map. Not this entertainment wrestling, but actual pro wrestling back on the map, and give WWE a run for their money.
Right. Let's go to that Midwest All Pro Wrestling connection that we both have, other than the fact that they sponsor this show as well. When did you find out that Midwest All Pro Wrestling, and I know we had that discussion before the show, but for the viewers and listeners, why don't you tell a little insight of how you found out that MAP was in Sioux Falls, South Dakota?
It really took part last year at SuperCon. I kind of heard a little bit of this and that. About, former WWE superstar Eugene had come back here and he had opened a wrestling school in South Dakota and everything like that. And I didn't really know too much about it until we had the opportunity last year at SuperCon. And we were there, and we were, fortunate enough to where we got set up in the same hall that they were having the wrestling show that day. And Nick, I guess, was a big fan of mine, which I didn't know. And so he came over and was like, hey, we'd really like to have you be a part of the show. We'd really like you to do something tonight. That'd be super awesome. I think the crowd would really like it. And, of course, I'm not going to turn that down, being a huge pro wrestling fan. I was like, oh, my gosh, are you kidding me? I get to go in the ring as Batman? And so, yeah, he put a cool little thing with us at the end of the battle, Tag Team Royal, and it was just incredible. My heart was racing, and the crowd, the adrenaline, being in the ropes, it was just so amazing. And I can't thank him enough. That was just awesome.
I can say as a parent and as a Batman fan, other than the accolades that you have, and we'll go in a little more detail about what you do with the Children's Hospital and the smiles that you put on those kids' faces. I saw that you came out. I couldn't stay too much longer because my son had prior engagements that he had to go to the next day. But then I kept looking on, I had him look on Facebook to see. I was like, oh, there's something going on here because I see you walking in. And did not know what was going on until we got at home because my son's not really understanding what I'm trying to say, even though he's like 12 at the time. But when we get home and we see that, and I'm like, oh my God, that is awesome. Like, I know people went nuts. There's a Midwest professional wrestling community page, and that was just consistently been repeated over and over again. Oh my God, Batman's there, Batman's there. And ladies and gentlemen, those that are watching this, we don't have like an actual live video. We have a picture up of what he looks like. The man looks like Batman in his suit. He has I think they call it a slingshot, yes. Am I correct? Yep. Okay, a slingshot.
Correct.
Yep. And it's themed out of the 1960s Batmobile. Trust me, you would go completely nuts when you see him driving around because he looked exactly like the Batman that you've seen on TV, in the big screen on the blockbuster movies. What gave you that idea with the slingshot, and what gave you the idea with the theme?
You know, when we had just moved to Sioux Falls here in 2016, and I was working for the Vernati Motor Company there at the Honda store, and the great owner Jim Lake, you know, him and I had several discussions after I showed him my Batman suits and everything else. He's like, you know, we'll build you a custom bike, and I was like, you know, Jim, I don't ride motorcycle. I don't have a motorcycle license. I'm not really a Harley guy or enthusiast and everything else. And then that was the first year really that Polaris had done the production on that slingshot.
Right.
And so we were having we were honoring, you know, the local heroes, your you know, Sioux Falls Fire Crash Rescue, Sioux Falls PD, ambulance, EMT, rescuers, first responders, military, and they own the Vernite Motoplex out there on Airport Road, and so they brought a couple of those slingshots down to the event there, and then as soon as I saw that, that's instantly what I thought. I was like, there it is. That's the Batmobile. That's the look. That's the way I want it, and I really wanted to pay tribute. The way I decorated the 1966 is just for that. Is to me the best Batman. I mean, big screen wise, I think is Michael Keaton's my favorite, but you know, I really consider Adam West the first Batman, and I know he wasn't, but
Right.
I just really think because growing up in that era, in that time frame, you know, late 70s, early 80s, and things like that, going to date myself a little bit there, but you know, I really was enthralled by that 1966 Batmobile, and so I was like, the car was already red and black on the interior, so I just thought it matched perfectly, and so we designed it up and took it to one of the local sign shops here, and I've just been impressed with it, and that's what we came up with the idea of what it is now that you'll see on the my photo there and everything else. And it's just been added a whole nother dimension of our repertoire here for Sioux Falls, and I'd like to say now, probably 3 years later, we're probably the most recognized vehicle in Sioux Falls. So,
Oh yeah, without a doubt. August 16th, Midwest All Pro Wrestling had one of their Summer Sizzle Map Mania shows, and it was like I think their last show on that tour, if I'm not mistaken. And Brian Pillman Jr. was supposed to be there, but we were there. My son was refereeing, Ethan Iglesias. He's one of MAP's Midwest All Pros referees, and so when we got done with the show, we were driving back to my sister's house, and all of a sudden my son goes, Dad, look, and here's Batman driving in the Batmobile. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm not over exaggerating when I say this, it legitimately looks like Batman. Like, anybody always dreams, like, why couldn't a billionaire, you know, be Batman? And why couldn't you just have somebody do that? It literally, your dreams have come true when you see this. Let's go to also the dream part of it. Talk a little bit about your journey through these dreams that you've been giving these kids at the Children's Hospital and all the charities that you do. I know that you do it because you have a big heart, you have a heart of gold, but, like, you know, for the viewers and the listeners that want to know what you've all done, go ahead and give them a little insight on it.
You know, we're probably doing about 125 events a year now, 3 years later, but you know, it really has been. It you know, like I said, it started off with a thought and a dream and an idea, and my very first outing in Sioux Falls is we got to do the Children's Miracle Network Radiothon that they have, you know, twice a year at the castle. And so, again, I was working with Vernite. The girls come in, Erin, Crystal, and Bethany had come in and talked about, you know, volunteering your time, maybe come and answer the phones and everything else. And I thought, you know, this is my opportunity. And so I kind of hung around afterwards and said, you know, hey, I got this Batman costume, and it's kind of what I want to do. I want to kind of get in the hospitals and everything else. And you know, and I understand they probably see a lot of people and get a lot of charities and things like that. And so I think they're just kind of like, you know, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. If you just want to kind of come and show up, and, you know, we'll take a look at you and kind of go from there. And I don't think they were prepared for what I was actually going to look like and what I was going to show up as. I don't think they thought maybe I had like the $40 Walmart costume or whatever. But so we showed up there, and I tell you, all the social media sites, all the radio stations took pictures of me and posted to their websites and their social media pages. And I tell you, it just blew up of, oh my goodness, did you see this Batman guy at this telethon? Right. and holy cow, this guy is like legit, again, I've been blessed with, I guess, with a chisel jaw. Maybe that came from the Marine Corps, I don't know, but so it kind of looked like Christian Bale himself, and so it just kind of really blew up from there. And then once we added in the repertoire of Batman, it was really cool because so many, again, of this, not only the news channels, but again, the social media pages of the radio stations of mysterious photos of this mysterious Batman keep popping
Right.
up all over town. Who is this Batman guy? Does anybody know who this guy is? And it was really awesome, the coolness of that in the beginning. But then, so that really, I think, really helped us out a lot. And so, and
Right.
then ever since then, like I said, the chance to, we've been working and partnering with, Sanford Children's Castle, the chance to go in and meet all these cool and amazing families inside the hospital, and then also working with Avera, same thing as well, meeting the children in Avera Hospital. But, we've had just the fortunate, over the years now, we call this whole thing we've put together, we call it hashtag Team Batman. And this is the most, what I'm proud of is, right now we're up to about 15 families throughout the entire state of South Dakota, parts of Iowa, Nebraska, Minnesota, kind of the four corners here, the 4 states, of families that have reached out to us and contacted us and had us come out and visit their son, their daughter, fighting their illnesses while their kids are going through chemo and going through the radiation and things like that. Just really wanted someone to come in and, hey, Batman's always been their hero, and getting the opportunity and the privilege and the honor to come in with these families and meet these families at, at one of the most difficult points in their lives, dealing with their children and waking up every day with the fear of the unknown and all that, and the chance that I've had to be blessed to come in with these families and spend, whether it's 30 minutes, an hour, or now over the last 3 years, several times, checking up with these kids, going out and visiting with them, stopping by their houses, and just saying hi. And it's been amazing just seeing that picture of all these, bringing all these families together and getting them all together in their own network that they've never known each other before that, and the chance to have somebody to talk to that knows, what they're going through and, what they're really, going through and what it really means to have a child, with cancer and the different, diseases and things like that they battle on a daily basis. And it's just been amazing. And I tell you, it'll change your life. If you ever
Right.
know a family with a child with cancer, I mean, it changes your life. And I've been so touched by these families, and they keep telling me thank you, but really, I thank them,
Right.
for the opportunity to come in and spend time with them. And it's just, it's amazing.
As
I'm honored.
we're as a parent who has a child with a rare eye disease that has gone to Mayo. It was a fighting battle. It was strenuous, stressful, and the fact that you're able to do that also gives a lot of relief off of the parents' shoulders as well too. It gives them a checkout of reality that we all need as parents. So just because the kids get to see that doesn't mean that us parents don't go unnoticed without seeing what the effects that you do. I can say I have a lot of respect for you, Batman, and it's just something that you have a special talent that we're graceful enough to have you in our presence. And you know what, we're very happy that you're around, and I hope you understand that. I think you do. You've done a lot for these kids, and it shows. I mean, if anybody sees them around, you should see the smiles on their face. I mean, it's the biggest smile that you could ever see. Now, on another side, I also know a gentleman that's doing a SuperCon, a Comic-Con that they've done the last couple years. Why don't you talk about a little bit about that SuperCon, because you have a connection with that, not just being there, but also with one of the board members as well.
Right. It was Shane Gerlach back when he was the president of the SuperCon, and having a chance to meet him and come in and everything with SuperCon last year, and the kind words that he told me, and told the audience about me on opening day and everything else, really meant a lot. I don't know of anybody else besides Terry who volunteers as much as their time and dedicates their time with cancer and everything else. And right after that, unfortunately, his son Derek became diagnosed with a brain tumor and everything else like that. And so we spent a lot of time with Shane, with Derek, helping with their cause. Trying to get the word on for Derek. We've done a couple events with Derek throughout, not only with Team Batman, but also part of the South Dakota Superhero and Villains group. We've done a lot of things with him and for Derek to help raise awareness, raise money for the family, for the cost of, like you said, traveling to Mayo and all the different places that they have to go for treatments for Derek and everything else. And I know that's not easy on him and Donnell. And so SuperCon definitely does mean a lot. It means a lot more to us now than it did a year ago.
Right.
And yeah, we're thankful to know Shane and Derek, and we're praying for him each and every day, and doing good and continue to get better. But yeah, SuperCon means a lot.
Right.
It really, really does. And getting in with those guys there, and how much and how well they treat me for what we do with the community, and be a part of their team, and what they do for the community as well. So
right. And that's just another reason why I like professional wrestling, because that kind of intertwines with your likeness. Things like this go. I bring this up because SmackDown was in Sioux Falls recently, and there was months ago they made a logo where it said "Fight Derek, Fight," and that was an inspiration, I'm thinking, from Kevin Steen, now who is Kevin Owens. And what was really cool is that Derek actually got to meet Kevin Owens at SmackDown. I seen Shane's pictures, and I'm not going to say what Kevin wrote to him on Twitter. That's not my place.
right.
But it was actually just the most heartwarming thing ever to ever read, especially not just being a parent, but being a parent with a kid that does have a disease as well. But I can tell you right now, Derek is our South Dakota superhero as well. He is a very vibrant, a very strong kid, and he's going to overcome this. He's one of the toughest ones. He's like, basically built from steel, and with Batman's courage and smarts and intelligence. And so I just want to say out here, fight Derek, fight. And we are Team Derek. We are Team Batman. Now, with that, I want to go back to what we talked about earlier as well. You said that you are a collector of professional wrestling memorabilia.
Yes.
Why don't you give us a little insight on that? Because you have a unique style when it comes to collecting.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Growing up, like I said, old school WWF, with the the characters and things like that and everything. But yeah, much to dismay of my wife, she boys and their toys,
right?
But so yeah, no, I'm a very avid collector. I have so many WWF toys and WWF action figures. I have the adult replica belts, and like we talked about in the beginning, I'm old school that way, to where the belts that I have. So my most prized possession is the blue strap, the WWF Winged Eagle Championship belt. Once Warrior beat Hogan for the title in WrestleMania 6, when he turned it to the blue strap, that's my most prized possession. And again, I do it with the WWF logo. I do it per the time period and record, so it has the WWF plates on it. It's got the WWF gold-plated buckle on the end of it. I love that belt. We have the white Intercontinental Championship belt from Shawn Michaels. Same way with the WWF logo, with the buckle on the end with the WWF plates. The night after Austin won the title, after WrestleMania 14, when he beat Austin, and Vince came out with the new Eagle belt and changed it over to the Attitude Era belt before he went to his Smoke and Skull belt. I have that belt as well with the 4 diamond, or actually 6 diamonds, with the globe, and again WWF logos, WWF plates on that. I have the old school WCW. I like their United States Wrestling Championship belt, so I have the WCW Wrestle Championship belt. I have the old WWF style European Championship title belts, again with all WWF logos and plates on it. I always loved the European title. I loved it when X-Pac ruled. Him and Shane McMahon had some many great battles with that.
Right.
I have the WWE United States Championship title belt. I have the World WWF Tag Team title belt. Back from the old school days, like I said, from the, what was it, the Hart Foundation to, the, Edge and Christian and the Dudley Boys and all them, that style of WWF wrestling belt. So again, it has the gold buckle on it with the WWF logos on it. I have numerous old school Ultimate Warrior figures. Like I said, he is my favorite one, so I got a ton of Ultimate Warrior. Seems like every year my family either gives me something Ultimate Warrior or something Green Bay Packers, it seems. And but I just have so many curio cabinets full of wrestling memorabilia. I have glasses from the old WWF New York when they tried that in Times Square back in the Attitude Era days, so I got a couple sets of those old school beer glasses. I have old program books from back in the Attitude Era. I have all the WWE encyclopedia volumes. Like I said, just tons and tons that I'd keep on here forever. But and the other most prized possession we kind of talked about is I bought my wife, even though she's not really that big of a fan, her WWF Women's Wrestling Championship belt one year, and she's like, "What's this?" And I'm like, "It's for you." And so when I bought it, it already had the Lita. Lita had signed it, and it came with a certificate of authenticity, so it was a little bit more than just your average belt.
Right.
But since then, and I'll tell a great story of it. Back in 2015, right before we got ready to move to Sioux Falls here, I was living in Aberdeen, and we went to, it was pretty much one of the last Wizard World Comic Cons up in Minneapolis.
Okay.
And the Bella Twins were there, and that was the time that Nikki was the longest reigning Divas champion, and we got to go up there and meet her, and we had just had our youngest daughter, who I had named after my most favorite wrestler in the whole world, and again, my wife's awesome because she let me do it. We named her Natalya. So my youngest daughter's name is Natalya, after Natalya Neidhart, so again, pro wrestling geek, pro wrestling fan, and so we went up there, and Natalya was literally all of 2 months old, so she was still a little baby tiny peanut, and that was about the time that Brie is winding down to retire the following year at WrestleMania and all that stuff. And so when we got up there to meet the Bella Twins, we actually got extra time with them because Brie, as soon as she saw Natalya, and we did, again, because I'm a wrestling geek, I took in a pink onesie and had Natalya's logo put on the front, the Canadian oak leaf, and on the back I had Natty by Nature. And so when we walked in there to meet the Bella Twins, Bree's like, "Oh my goodness, can I hold her?" Absolutely, you can hold my daughter. So yeah, so it was awesome. So she took extra pictures. We're like, "Hey, make sure you show Natalya," and everything else. And it was really cool because we actually tweeted that picture to Natalya, and she actually responded and retweeted it, and so it got like 20,000 likes and loves and everything. So that was really awesome. So the Bella Twins signed my wife's belt. Yeah, absolutely. And then the following year, we did meet Paige at the last year of the Wizard World, so she also signed it. And then we actually got to meet Natalya here, one of the local wrestling shows when SmackDown came, not this last time, but the time before.
How old was Natty when this happened? Because I'd have to think that this would blow your mind and blow your daughter's mind if she was old enough to realize that's who she was named after. The story is just phenomenal.
Yeah, and right now she's 4 years old,
okay.
So she doesn't really recollect anything, doesn't really understand it. Yeah, she knows that Daddy watches wrestling, but that's about it. But so I'm really proud of that. So on my wife's WWF Women's title belt, last held by Trisha and Lita and all them, or Trish Stratus and Lita and all them. So that's really cool. We got to meet a lot of them. So and I'll tell you one cool last story we didn't talk about off air. If you allow me,
yeah, go ahead.
Here,
the
platform's
yours.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. So back when I was in the Marine Corps, back in 1998, I re-enlisted for the very first time after my first 4 years in the Marine Corps, and I got sent to a place to where when every kid goes to basic training, when we come through, we go to what we call Weapons Field Training Battalion. That's the second phase of the boot camp. That's where we teach the kids the weapon handling, the rifle marksmanship portion of their phase where they qualify with the rifle and all that cool stuff. And I tell you, in 2000, right before I left, we had none other than Randall Keith Orton, Mr. RKO himself,
Nice.
come to my rifle range and shoot and qualify on my rifle range. And of course, nobody knew who he was. We didn't, you don't really pay attention to recruits. That the names change week to week, but the faces never do, kind of a thing.
Right.
It's really Groundhog's Day there in our business. So, and we were all big WWF fans. That was back when the heat of the battle, 98 to 2000, when the high tides between Raw and Nitro was going on. So, I mean, everything we did on our rifle range, we're always doing, the DX chops and all that stuff and talking Rudy Poo this and Rudy Poo that with the Rock and everything.
You probably weren't getting in trouble when you were doing that, because we did in school. You don't know how many times, we'd do that in high school, and then the teachers and the principal were like, "Hey, knock that off." So
Yep. Yeah, so everything was, WWF, WCW, Nitro with NWO and everything else, and just our whole range was into that. So it was really cool. So when Randy showed up on our range, and Randy's a big dude, you know what I mean? And so when you come to the Marine Corps rifle range, we call it the raised portion, where you have to step up about 2.5, 3 feet high up to the range portion. You go up and you get in position for the firing. So the kids waiting in line are sitting on ammo cans, on the bottom portion. So like I said, there's like a 3 foot, 2.5, 3 foot difference. So his coach, never forget, Corporal Wiley was his name. Soon as that kid came to the deal, here comes Wiley running. And now I'm in the sound cart running the whole range. The only time a coach runs like that was when there's like a serious problem. And so I'm looking down, and here comes Jason just booking it to the center line there. And I'm like, dude, slow down. What's going on? He's like, dude, you got to come meet this kid. You got to come meet this kid. You got to come talk to him. I'm like, dude, slow down, man. Why? Why do I want to come talk to this kid? He goes, dude, this kid's dad is Cowboy Bob Orton's son. I said, no, he's not. He goes, dude, come down here. This is Cowboy Bob Orton's son. All right. Yeah, whatever.
Right.
Let's go down there and talk to him. So like I said, I'm standing on the raised portion. I'm all of 5'9" and like 3/4. Randy stood up and was pretty much like eye to eye on me.
Yeah.
Just a big kid at that point still. And I was like, holy, okay, maybe he could be.
Right.
And so I was like, hey, hello, son, how are you? Blah, 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 recruit. Tell me your name. Oh, I'm Randy Orton, sir. I'm like, okay, Randy, so your dad's Cowboy Bob Orton? Yes, sir. I'm like, bullshit,
Right.
How can you prove that he's your son? And I tell you, the stories he talked about with the WCW power plant and the WWF behind the scenes.
Right.
I mean, the drill instructors were so mad because, literally, like, all of us coaches were down there the entire week talking to him about Ric Flair and Andre the Giant, and, sitting on his lap, and Hulk Hogan and all this stuff. And it was just so amazing talking to this kid. And so I've never had the chance to meet Randy Orton, to tell him that story that, hey, I was on your rifle range, I can prove it, and all that stuff. But it was really cool to me. That's one of my coolest stories I have, being linked to WWE, was the fact that Randy Orton, before he went and joined WWF and OVW, was on my rifle range as a recruit prior to being famous. So that's really cool.
Right. No, with your story, that intertwines also with his background documentary that they have on when they did those videos in WWE, and then some of them were on they're on the network, but they were on like Netflix and Hulu there for a while, and they would tell his backstory about how he got started and that. So that's really cool, a great story to hear. Sir, I have a lot of respect for you. I really do. This isn't just to say that because you're on the show. Is there anything else that you have going on that you'd like to plug, or any other stories? Because you got plenty of time on the platform. But if you have anything or where they can find you, go ahead and tell the listeners and viewers about that.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can. We do have an official website that's up and moving. It's www.SiouxFallsBatman.com. You can go on there, check out our links, all of our pictures of the wonderful families, part of Team Batman, of all the things that we've gotten to do with them over the past couple of years. all the different cool events from, like I said, Children's Radio Telethon to Sanford Children's Hospital, Avera, Make-A-Wish Foundation, Teddy Bear Den Society. Man, we've done so many things, it's hard to remember all of them, but they're all on there. The photos, the parade from this year of having the Team Batman families together. You can follow us there. We're on all the social media platforms. On Facebook, if you type in the search bar, you can type in Dark Knight Entertainment, or you can type in Batman Impersonator. That'll bring you to my page. Go on there and follow my page. That's where we do most of our live video uplinks when we're at a charity event or at a society. Things coming up. Also on our website page, our events calendar is on there. Wherever Sioux Falls Batman will be in the public over the next couple of weeks. We got Touch a Truck event coming up here in Sioux Falls on September 20th. Next weekend on Friday. Obviously, the weekend after that is the big SuperCon ordeal. So we'll be out at the Sioux Falls Convention Center Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Me and the Batmobile will be on display for you to come and take pictures, get an autograph. We have some T-shirts for sale that we're going to have available for you guys there that you can purchase, or you can purchase them online on our website. You can go into the shop tab. We got the different sizes there from extra small all the way to 5X, whatever you need for a T-shirt size for you or your family. Help support us. All them dollars help go to charity and help us continue our journey with these families, to go and visit these families and do the things that we get to do. Instagram, Sioux Falls Batman. On Instagram, on Twitter, it's at Batman Falls. I believe they wouldn't give me at Batman Sioux Falls, and so at Batman Falls on Twitter, we're on there. You can, again, check out all of our cool events that we got going on, all the cool events that we've done, everything coming up. A lot of that I post with my wrestling stuff is on my Twitter account, so all the cool things we've gotten to do with that. 2 weeks ago, it's probably been 2 months ago now, when Coach came for MAP Wrestling. Right. I got the opportunity to meet the Coachman, and him and his mom and dad. He had his mom and dad there with him and everything else, so that was another cool thing. You see all them pictures there. With the Coach. I actually talk to him every now and again. Him and I kind of talk through Instagram, so it's really cool. And and another thing, going back with Derek and Shane, Coach is a really big sponsor of them too. The next night after the Midwest All Pro Wrestling event, they had the pay-per-view. I think it was SummerSlam, and SummerSlam, or maybe it was.
No, that was. I think that was Extreme Rules.
Extreme Rules. There you go. That's what it was.
Night, because he had that hardcore match with Eugene.
Right. Yep. So, Coachman showed off his Derek fight bracelet, for Shane and Derek. I thought that was really a class act for him. So,
right.
I'm a big Jonathan Coachman fan. It's just amazing how all this stuff intertwines through pro wrestling, and the platform of pro wrestling and everything like that. So I really want to give a shout out to Coachman too for that. Like I said, he's been, kind of talking with me when I message him. He's a busy guy. He's got a hectic schedule. He doesn't have to answer us, but he does. So, it's just a class act that he does that. So Coachman, is a good, solid dude. And so I was real happy about that. So you want to check out my photos with Coach. Coach sat in the Batmobile with me and everything else, and we got to tell our story, and thought that was really cool that he spent time with us.
He looked like a kid in the candy store when he sat in the Batmobile.
He did. Yeah. Yes, he was. He absolutely was. So he was pretty much in awe. But and that's really, I guess, about it. Don't have too many events for October planned right now, but just the main ones, like I said, next weekend, Touch a Truck, Harmadon Park, Sioux Falls. I think that's from like 5 to 8 or something like that, I think it is. And then the following weekend, like I said, we're super duper excited for SuperCon to come. On Sunday, SuperCon gave me the privilege of doing a panel with me. So if you'd like to know more about me and come on and ask me see us, ask me a specific question, want to know a little bit more, I'll be out there from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. I think we're in the panel room 2 for that, so that's really exciting. I'm looking forward to coming out and interacting with everybody and, fielding questions and things like that, so that's really awesome. I think I'm doing that with Jen Jurgens, a part of SuperCon, so they just been huge supporters of mine, and that whole crew, and anything I can do for them guys, absolutely. So it's been a great experience, man. It's been such a great ride over these last 3 years. It's bigger than we ever thought it would be. I'm so humbled. I'm so honored, of the things that we get to do and the things that we've been able to do. I'm just in awe every day of the things that we're asked to do and asked to partake in, and it's been an amazing ride.
Now, just to clarify real quick, you are available to be booked to go all over the United States. Is that correct?
Not all over the United States.
Okay.
No, we
okay.
no. Believe it or not, I have had people ask me from all over. I've gotten stuff from Michigan. I've gotten stuff from Pennsylvania. I think Missouri. A whole bunch of different places. People have asked and requested. It's like, as much as I would love to make that happen, it's not possible. So we like to stay. Generally the farthest place away we go every year is we go to Owatonna, Minnesota, just south of the cities there, and they have, I think it's called Straight River Days, and so they have us out every year to come out there for their parade and their celebration and everything like that. So that's kind of as far as we've gone. I've gone back to my hometown. I grew up around the Pierre area in central South Dakota, so we've gone back there, and we've gone to Aberdeen, down to Sioux City, pretty far out in Iowa, I think around the what is it, like Sioux Center, Lamar's area.
Yeah.
I think it's about the farthest down we've gone. Really haven't gone too far deep into Nebraska, but otherwise, we kind of try to limit about that 200-mile range, give or take, somewhere in there. So otherwise, it's just, that's a long travel in the Batmobile, and, weather permitting and everything else is the only thing that, how crazy the South Dakota weather is here. So
right.
You never know when it's going to change and everything else. So
you got your territory, and I respect that, there's a lot of other areas, but yeah, if you get a chance to go to Sioux Falls, South Dakota at the Sioux Falls Convention Center, September 27th through the 29th. Tickets, I think, if I'm correct, is at supercon.com.
I believe so.
Okay, and we'll get all of Batman's information through message, so I can type this up when I put this on YouTube. Just want to make sure that everybody knows that, so if they're looking and they're interested, we'll also put the link on the supercon.com to make sure you can get tickets. Like I said, this is in Sioux Falls, South Dakota at the Sioux Falls Convention Center.
Yep.
Sir, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been an honor, like I said before. I appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man. And if you ever want to come back on the show, you're more than welcome to. And like, I'm going to deny Batman. seriously. Have you seen what Batman can do? That's like saying, you don't say no to Santa Claus. That's kind of a no, unwritten rule that, you allow him to come on anytime he wants to come on. So, sir, much respect to you. I thank you. Remember, fight, Derek, fight. And I hope everybody that's listening has a good day, a good night. Peace!
I said I'm moving too far. Get to glass. You're looking at a shooting star. Got more than a couple of people going mad. I swear they're rooting hard. Tell them I